Hello, everyone. We're back with another live stream today, and this one's going to be a little bit different just because my past few have been about stop motion and mocks, but this one is going to be about how to be entertained and how to have some fun during quarantine. And this video is mainly for people that are like me that do stuff with Legos. And if you watch my videos and like the kind of stuff that I do, then this is stuff that you could be doing. Number one, grow a quarantine beard. Oh yeah, definitely coming in. It's definitely not barely anything at all. No, actually, number one of the most important things you can do is organize your Legos. I'm going to show you what I've been working on over here. And the biggest thing really is, if you haven't done this already, I'm assuming that if you have a decent amount of Legos, you've separated your dark gray, your light gray. Hopefully, if you have a lot of Legos, you've done this. If you only have enough Legos to fill one or two of these, then I think it's fine if you keep them together. But if you have any more gray pieces than about two of these worth, then you really should separate them. It makes stuff so much easier. And the way I organize, if you kind of need help getting started, is with all my gray. I have 6 bins of gray. And what I do is for each color, I do large pieces on the top. So like rock formations, bigger pieces in general. And then same for the other gray. And then here I have like building pieces. So like 1x4s, 2x4s, 2x6, anything like that. And then like roof pieces, so like a flat 2x4 or anything bigger than that. And then the last one I just put kind of like the rest of everything. I do that for both grays. And then for most of my other pieces, I only have one bucket, the black separated by larger and smaller pieces. So if you have extra time, I would really go and organize your stuff, because it's so much easier to be able to build stuff if you actually have stuff that's organized. Number 2, if you do any kind of stop motion or movie making, I'd really encourage you in this time to spend more time on different little details that people really appreciate. I really like it when people have good props. So what I'm doing with Deserter 7 is, for this little scene, I'm trying to add more detail. And to be fair, this only took me like 10 minutes, but it's better than just having some walls. And it's important, obviously, for filming. You can take each wall off, which I can do. I just won't do now because I'm holding it in a weird way and it just would be difficult. But if you have the time, try to make some extra good scenes and props and all that, because no matter how good your stop motion is, there's always a way to make it better. And one easy way is to make your sets extra nice, extra customized, put a little more effort into it. Number 3, which kind of goes along with number 2, and this is on the topic of stop motion. One thing I've really found is most people really enjoy good stop motion, which makes sense. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is, if you don't have a good storyline, your stop motion isn't going to get a ton of views. So if you have the extra time, then, well, spend some time making a storyline. I know I've talked about this in previous videos, I have my notebook right here where I keep notes and write lines, and I keep track of storylines. I plug it into my phone, whatever I need to do. But whatever works for you, you should write it down. You should have ideas. You should write stuff down. It's so much more intriguing if you have a good storyline for your stop motion. Since everyone has time right now, if you're able to spend a little bit more time kind of organizing stuff and getting a good movie idea together, I think that really helps. What are we at now? We're at number 4. Number 4. Well, okay, this is another kind of organizing one. It's a little bit similar to number 1, but that's fine. I mean, there's so many different ways to organize. If you're like me and you have a larger Lego collection and you're starting to kind of move things around, if you have any kind of drawer system, these 3 drawer systems I have here, and you have, or you're going we condense those into something like this, then I wouldn't just get rid of these to make room. I think these are still really helpful. For example, I'm turning one of these into like a plant drawer I haven't quite finished because I have a few more plants in this. And if you shop at the Lego store ever, I'm sure a lot of people have a ton of these and I have no idea what to do with them. So what I did with a few of mine is I put a bunch of these wing pieces in them. And I mean, obviously I could stick them in these drawers, but there isn't enough of them to fill the whole drawer, but there's about enough of them to fill up this bucket. So basically what I'm saying for this next strategy is if you're reorganizing or you're moving stuff around, take advantage of the storage units that you have and just be creative. And condensing stuff makes it so much easier to get a hold of when you actually need it. So moving on, 5. If you don't do this, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I would really encourage you, if you're a Lego builder, to at least try some kind of Lego MOC. If you have less pieces than minifigures, then make a minifigure MOC. If you have more, if you have more pieces and less minifigures, make it more of like a landscape MOC with less minifigures. And for basic MOC building, if you've never done something before, the thing that's most important is to find something to build that you actually like and that you actually care about. So just find something from Star Wars or something else that you like, and just kind of going from a starting point where you're inspired and creative really helps. And I know that's really broad of a topic, and it's probably not the most helpful if you're like, well, what do I do from here? So I'm going to be posting some MOC and stop motion tutorials after the release of Deserter 7. So I'd keep that one kind of on the side right now and just kind of wait, because once I get those videos up, hopefully that should be more helpful for you. So my next kind of idea is similar to that, is try some stop motion. If you haven't ever done it, there's millions of tutorials on YouTube. Check any of them out. They're all really good. And like I said a minute ago, I'm going to be doing tutorials for that. So if you want to wait until I get those out, that's fine. But now's a really good time to try something new like stop motion or MOC building. And moving on, I've forgotten what number we're on. Once I go back and re-edit this, then I can fix all that. One thing I've started to do, which I'm going to do a video on shortly in a few weeks or whatever, with all this extra time, if you have a semi-large Lego collection, it might be good to start condensing what you have. Like if you have a lot of Ninjago or City Lego and you're more of a Star Wars Lego collector like I am, it might be time to sell some of those sets. If you have a Bricks and Minifigs near you, they will take used sets and they will give you store credit or just cash. And I mean, they do try to lowball you a little bit, but if you ask for individual pricing on each set you bring in, you're more than likely to get a decent deal. They'll give you at least more than half of what the set's actually worth, which isn't bad if you're just going to hide all this random junk in your Lego collection and never use any of it. So kind of what I've been working on, kind of hard to see what you're actually getting, is just putting together old sets. And I have some down here, some down here, some down there. Sorry if you're not able to see any of it. But just something like that, it takes a lot of time. Here, I'll grab one really quick. So I'll just grab something pretty simple. Like, for example, I have some of the old Dino Lego sets. And the way I get started with these, just really quick, I'll explain this more in my video, is a lot of people would like to just start at the beginning and see how far you can get. If you are just trying to kill time, that's perfect. You can do it that way. But the most efficient way is to just go to the back, and I know it takes a while, and just find all the pieces first. Because if you, let's say you have to find a gray piece, you dig around for half an hour, you find the few pieces you need, you go back to the very next step, you might need another gray piece. So if you can just find all the gray pieces in one go, everything's going to work a lot more smoothly. So yeah, like I said before, I'm going to be doing a video of all the sets I've made And then once quarantine's over, I'm going to be going to Bricks and Minifigs and doing a big Lego haul there. Should get a few $100 hopefully, just because I think I've built over 20 sets. So I don't know, it should be good. Moving on. Next thing on the list, no idea what number we're on right now. Let's see. What is next? So at this point, I've really covered kind of the biggest things. And kind of at this point, these are going to be more specific and less kind of big picture stuff. If you have extra money right now in quarantine and you're, I don't know, looking to spend some money or something, now's a really good time to look online and see what kind of deals you can get on Legos. I mean, I know some people are worried about buying stuff that might somehow be infected. I'm not too worried about it. I definitely check out AliExpress. I've done videos on that before. They have really cheap Legos. The quality on some of them isn't great, but for the majority, it works pretty well. So right now is a really good time to just do research and just kind of find something that works for you. And if you're looking for a specific set, you can go down the rabbit hole a little bit. Now's a really good time to just searching. And yeah, that concludes that bullet point kind of. What is next? I just have to see what we have over here. So if you have the storage room, another thing that I'd recommend doing is if you have lots of equipment for your minifigures, now's a really good time to maybe do some kind of condensing on stuff. And I know it isn't ideal right now because of quarantine, but if you have friends or people that do Lego like you, a lot of people really like getting new weaponry or just stuff for their minifigures. Like this bin is mostly just like guns and weapons and just kind of equipment. And what's really great is once quarantine's over, putting some of this stuff aside that you don't need, don't use, don't want, and maybe seeing if you have friends that will do some kind of Lego trading with you, or at least putting stuff aside that you could bring to Bricks and Minifigs. So that kind of goes with that other thing I talked about a little while ago. But even just breaking this down and trying to get it into multiple buckets if you have the room. The strategy I did is I put guns and backpacks in this bin. I put anything that can go on top of someone's head, so like a mask, a helmet, a hat, and then these shooter things that come with most sets now. And then anything like that's a longer Lego piece, so like any kind of stick or pole, anything like that, and then any kind of like melee weapon, like a mace or a sword or a dagger, anything like that. So if you have the space and the resources, it's nice to just condense everything down a lot. So continuing, I'm kind of starting to run out of steam a little bit, but this is getting to more specific stuff now. I know the videos that I do about painting tutorials don't get a lot of views, and that's mostly fine with me. I mostly post those as a reference for people if they ever see those minifigures in a movie and want to know how I made them. And I'd recommend if you have an old minifigure, I know a lot of people when they're little like to color all over Lego guys. I don't know why, but I did it too. So then you end up having all these messed up Lego guys. I mean, just try painting. Maybe even one or two guys, like whatever you got to do. Like I recently painted a few scuba clones. I'm going to be uploading that video, I think, tomorrow or the next day, so watch out for that. It's not really that hard. You just need some acrylic paint, which needs no water. It sticks pretty well. If you're painting white over another color, it's slow. You need a lot of coats, but I mean it's not that difficult. And I know I'm getting really specific here, but I think painting is a really good way to make stuff your own. And my next thing is, well, it's kind of a big leap, but with all the time, I think now is one of the best times to start a YouTube channel. And if doing stuff with Legos or whatever it is you want to do is something that you want to share, I think now's a great time because everybody's at home, everybody's bored and watching YouTube. So it's a lot easier to find people online who will see your stuff, that will like your stuff. So if you're on the fence about it, I think now's a great time to just go for it. Nothing bad can happen. You're not going to lose money. And if you turn on, like, you don't want to hear about all the mean comments, which sometimes crop up, just turn on the child safety thing so nobody can leave any comments. I'm eventually going to turn that off so I can get comments because the feedback's really nice. But just to start out, it might be nice to not do comments just for a while. And let's see, what's next? Right, this one kind of goes along with the stop motion and mock thing. But if you have any way, if you're doing YouTube videos of mocks and stop motion, one thing that I think is so helpful is lighting. And if you don't have something like this, I know I've talked about these in other videos before. Sorry, warning, seizure warning. You can just use like overhead lights, like if you have any kind of lamp or overhead light. I think lighting is really important for mocks and stop motion and can change the mood of something. So using that to your advantage when making videos makes things feel a lot more, I don't know, like professional, and it looks like you tried a lot harder. So just kind of using more steps and things to get to the end of your project is also a really helpful thing to do. And expecting to be done pretty soon. I'm starting to run out of things. One thing you could do, it's less of a important thing unless you're trying to make some kind of custom Lego series or something kind of unique for you. If you have a YouTube channel and you're trying to make something unique, if you have a lot of Lego minifigures and you're planning to do some kind of Rebel series or something, I think one good challenge that you could take on with the extra time is, instead of just using the classic troopers that are given to you in a battle pack or a set of some kind, just like whatever, Resistance Trooper and Hoth Trooper, try taking all your Rebels apart and making your own Rebels. I think people like seeing customized stuff that's still like actual Lego people pieces. And I think that makes it really pop more. And there's just more kind of, it's more personalized just because it's your own design. And I'll show you a little example here. It's for a stop motion series that I'm going to start working on after Deserter, which I'm very excited for. And this kind of goes along with customizing the minifigures. Like, I did a makeover on Anakin Starfighter, made it kind of like all this dark grayish color. And just creating your own minifigures, like with Jedi, there's a lot of sets of different Jedi, and just customizing Jedi to be your own. Like, I just randomly made these two Jedi. Like, this guy is Luke's face, Luke's cape, Luke's pants. No, not Luke's pants. And this is Luke from oh goodness, the last three movies, the one that just came out. I'm blanking on the name. Well, he was Force Ghost in Rise of Skywalker. Wow, I'm suddenly blanking on the name. Whatever. Luke from the Lego set where he's just chilling on his island, and that's his face. And then he has the double blue lightsaber, and then there's the hairpiece from, I'm pretty sure, Anakin from the Clone Wars, one of those Lego sets. And yeah, the Last Jedi. That's the one he's from. Anywho, so I also made this guy. So just kind of customizing stuff to be your own makes it, I don't know, a lot more unique, and people will appreciate that more. Moving forward, we're just about done. Trying to think if there's any other major things. I could list a lot more, but I figure anything less than specifics isn't really too useful anymore. One thing, I don't know if I should really count it as a full idea, but as a side note, if you have some Star Wars sets and you are doing something that doesn't require actual ships or something, one thing that I've been kind of playing around with, which has been really fun, is taking battle packs. There's so many great ones, and if you're trying to recreate a scene or make something where some battle packs aren't needed, a fun thing to try out is like taking them apart and combining them, because they're about 110 pieces each, and they'll have a little bit unique kind of character traits and like different stuff. And if you just take a few battle packs and combine them into something, I don't actually have an example to show you, but I could do a video on it if that sparks your interest or anything. But I think it's a good opportunity now to kind of check on what kind of creative talents you can use for Lego and stop motion and whatever you got to do. So I think using that as a fun resource, battle packs have great pieces, and like some of the best pieces that I have are from battle packs. So you could easily make some really nice stuff just with battle pack pieces if you took stuff apart. Okay. And another thing that could go on this list is, I know I keep saying that all the bored people are watching YouTube, but if you're doing YouTube or stop motion or mocks or whatever you're doing, there is almost definitely some kind of YouTube video or channel related to what your interest is. And I think doing some research for what you're trying to do is really helpful. As a YouTuber, I watch lots of videos on how to promote my channel, get more views, get more subscribers, how to make good videos, and I think that really helps me. And watching a lot of stop motion kind of motivates me to work on my stop motion. So I think if you have something that you're working towards, watching YouTube videos about it isn't a waste of time. And if it's helpful or constructive in any way, then it might help you. So that's kind of a key thing to growing, is learning. And since you can't really learn from someone face to face right now because of quarantine, YouTube is a really great way to do that. We're just about wrapping up here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else at the moment. And if you're in quarantine, you're bored, maybe you have a YouTube channel and you don't know what to do. If you have any Lego sets, do a review of them. Like, I've never been one for reviews, but if I ever run out of ideas, I'll probably review some of my Star Wars sets, because I do have a few that are, I don't know if rare is the right word, just not a lot of people buy them or have them. Like, I might eventually review this E-Wing, which is a fun set. I think this is from like the later 2000s, I think like between 2012 2015. It's a pretty fun set. Pretty cool features. Like, a review isn't that hard, it's just your opinion about something, and people do like to watch those. Whoops. So yeah, I think this is mostly going to conclude my live stream for today. Hopefully a few of those ideas might have sparked your interest for something to do during quarantine. If you're not feeling motivated to make YouTube videos, or you don't have anything to post about, make a live stream. I've been doing a few over the past few days. They're easy, they don't require any editing. You literally just have to do a topic that people find even slightly interesting, so it doesn't require that much work on your end, and at least one person is probably going to hop on at one point and watch for a few minutes. So you can't really do anything too, like, there's no really wrong way to do a live stream. So if you're out of ideas, anything, just that always helps. And if there's any last minute things I can think of, if you're doing stop motion, one last thing here, using green screens and other effects, while not mandatory or something that you really need to do, I think they really improve a movie and make it look a lot more professional. And like I was explaining in a past video, if you just run to the dollar store and you get those giant like poster board things and you get them in bright green, that's a perfect green screen. You can just use that. So using green screens, really helpful. Now's a good time to learn about extra stop motion stuff like green screens and masking and Photoshop and whatever programs you're using. If you're doing stop motion, now's just a good time to learn all that stuff and get it all figured out before you're going to have to do any kind of work again. And now I think for real, I'm going to stop procrastinating here. And I think this is about all of the main things I've been up to that I could think of to kind of help you guys out. Oops. One last thing for stop motion. If you're going to do stop motion, one thing that I think is really important, the apps don't really matter. I use Stop Motion Studio. If you want to use that, that's cool. If not, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It really depends more on what works best for you. A tripod is so important for stop motion. I have this from the little StickBot starter pack with the green screen. As you can see, that's all. The things go up and down. The little stand moves around. Hold your phone. That's about it. For a tripod, it's so much nicer to have legs that are like more flexible. They can move around in more directions because then you can kind of set the camera up more than like 3 different ways. So if you're going to do stop motion, I'd worry more about like the tripod than like the actual stop motion app. The tripod and the editing and just what you use, the software that you do the stop motion on is less important than everything connected to the stop motion. So if you're ever planning to do something like that, make sure you have a decent tripod. I really can't stress enough how helpful it is. I know my Deserter movies turn out at least okay. Hopefully, in your opinion, you don't think they're too bad. I mean, I think they're fine, but it's been difficult to do some scenes because of this tripod. And I think things would be a lot smoother and I'd be able to work through it a lot faster with a better tripod. So if you're going to do stop motion, I'd really advise getting a tripod and just stuff like that is, I don't know, it just makes everything a lot better. So wrapping up today's live stream, I gave you a certain amount of ways to not be bored. I'm going to go back, check this, rename the title with how many ideas I was able to come up with off the top of my head. Might do another one of these in the future if I ever think of a long enough list of ideas of how to stay active during your quarantine. And obviously this list really only applies to people who like the same things as me. I have other things I do, but since they're not really connected to my YouTube channel in any way, I feel like sharing them is kind of pointless right now. But I don't know, let me know if this was helpful in any way. Since you can't comment, just leave a thumbs up if this was helpful. Hopefully you can use some of these in the next few upcoming days or weeks to stay entertained. This is Like I'm in Animations. Deserter 7 is going to be out in a few weeks. I'll post the trailer for that pretty soon. So remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video or live stream.